On-site coverage of the Precious Metals Summit is brought to you by Borealis Mining.
Hello, welcome back to Mine Network. It's day 2 of the Precious Metals Summit, and we're joined with a company we've actually gone and looked at the rocks and been on site. That's Outcrop Silver. Ian, good to be with you again.
Yes, obviously it's nice being an outcrop because you can go look at the rocks just walking around. So that is a big help.
Yeah, and obviously, again, we mentioned this so many times on the show, but and if you haven't watched the documentary, go and watch it. But not just the rocks, but the core shack where you're seeing this sort of 5 kilo, 10 kilo silver. Pretty impressive. You've had a really good news flow this summer, and I think it's a good opportunity to update the market as to sort of what's been going on. There's been some pretty exciting new hits. I think I just saw another one last week, which was about 3 kilo hit. Yeah.
Over significant width too is also important.
So how's this, obviously this is all feeding into a new resource in Q1, right? How's the drill campaign going in your opinion versus what the expectations were?
Oh, I think that we have been delivering exactly what we wanted to do, what we said we were going to do for now about 20 months straight. Yeah. So it's really, we're very excited because when you visited, my number one goal was get us on a value pathway. Yeah. And the big problem we had is our valuation at that time, and continues to be for, we trade like a group of companies with a very similar valuation per ounce in the ground. So the only lasting way to create additional value is to increase your resource. But the majority of, actually all the drilling had been done in the Northeast, and we wanted to create that pathway, show market how this thing can get bigger. Start drilling, testing, discovery. We've had 6 different discoveries and continue to also see not just high-grade primary silver, but also seeing significant widths and high grades, very similar to what we saw in the original resource, saying, I'm a mining engineer. Guillermo is a resource geologist. We like de-risking projects. We don't like taking chances. So we like to say, now we know where those additional ounces are coming from. So the shift from when you visited to today is about now it's about drilling out those ounces for the cheapest possible, right? Go to the areas that get you the most ounces for the minimum amount of meters for this updated resource. So now we know we're about $1 spend for about a $4 in valuation based on our previous valuation, because things are changing obviously with silver prices. And so I like that. It means I can deliver value at a much higher rate than it costs to keep things moving forward. Right, so that was something very exciting we've been able to deliver on, and the upcoming resource is kind of like the proof. The proof is in the updated resource.
Yeah, obviously you are the highest grade primary silver explorer in the world at the moment. I'm just wondering, with this current drill campaign, obviously now that we are starting to see silver rally, you were mentioning there obviously for every $1 you're getting about a $4 valuation, which is pretty good return by any numbers. But how are you seeing that now shift, and how are investors even at this show starting to, I guess, look at you in a different light?
I invite anybody who has had the patience to continue to look into mining, or people that are new to, especially people that are new to it. Go back to all these different companies that you see today and go and hit that 10-year button, that 5-year button, that life button, and look how things were 10 years ago, right? We were looking at a completely different landscape because we were in a secular bull market. We've been in a cyclical bear market for 10 to 13 years, arguably. We've had intermittent cycles within that overall cycle, but it seems today the feeling around is we're coming into a bull market. So it definitely feels that way. We've seen the GDX go up 50%. We see silver now breaking out. Outcrop is at a 2-year high. And so the world is changing. So the fundamentals we've used over the last 12 years are completely changing. So it's a very, very, very exciting time that we can, obviously the reason why people invest in silver explorers is because we trade to a big beta to silver price. And the reason is simple. I loved a graph yesterday by Dolly Varden. It said there used to be 13 silver producers. Now there's about 10 quality silver producers because of mergers and acquisition. And of the developing companies, there's only about 5. Wow. There really is. I mean, that are true primary silver projects. So that we are in that, it's not a lot of options when you're looking for true quality projects. So to be in that batch at a time we also have a value proposition is very exciting, because I think we're going to outperform. Even as all boats start rising, we will continue to outperform, because we get, the equation is pretty simple right now. It's how much you get per ounce in your valuation and how many ounces do you have. Where we're seeing this go up because the silver price is breaking out, but we're also adding additional ounces, and not incremental ounces, but big steps. We're looking for big steps as we go from the north. Now we're kind of, the majority is in the middle, and we still have the southern end to kind of fill out in a pathway of continue to see big steps in growth of the company. So we're very excited that we've been able to deliver the last 20 months.
Yeah, and to be honest, I've always said I've actually always really liked the look of the South as well. And the fact you haven't even got down there yet and you're having so much success is quite impressive.
Maybe I'll throw in a little secret that I think we're mobilizing to free us.
Oh, you are?
Right now.
Oh,
so
good.
I think we are about to.
I think we had a interview about 4 months ago, and I was focusing quite a lot on free us during that interview, and I was probably a bit too early. But it's not okay. Good.
Yeah, it took a while to, logistically, it's a new area for us, getting water lines, and we've done. I remember last year when you visit, I think in 9 months we did 120 right-of-way agreements, right? Because that's mostly soil sampling, trenching, just mapping, but your roads, your water lines, and then even platforms. And I think this year to date we've done 180, 200. Yeah. So we've really, that for me is, I'm very proud of that, because you can't do that unless you have an excellent reputation and relationship developed with so many people.
Yeah, and we saw that on site with the community relations that you're doing and the roads that you're building and the access to grants that you're helping the local town, Falan, secure as well. I mean, it seemed like you've really become a big part of that community. And like we said, you see the town sign in the middle, and we were there, and you got your geo right in the middle of the sign painted on there. Where are we at the moment with this drill campaign in terms of what's your estimate in terms of the cap of what drilling can go into this new resource? Because eventually you're going to have to say, right, we draw the line here. We're going to have to just include everything that we've done to date into this new resource in Q1. So are we near that point, or can we potentially even squeeze a bit of free ass in there?
You're picking up on something that maybe not everybody else finds obvious, is that we drill continuously. Like, we've been drilling for 20 months and nonstop. We don't really have a drill season. So we will continue to drill into next year as we continue to try and go to 100 million ounce type goal is where we're trying to get to. And so it's a difficult question. Yeah. Because I don't like taking risks, so we're already doing the internal calculations and doing the internal updates. We've already working with third parties, the outside experts, to start building and checking and reviewing our model. So I have some personal criteria, right? Which is, I want to target at least 60 million ounces, and I want to keep a very similar grade, right? We're not going to sacrifice grade for ounces.
600 plus grams per ton.
Correct. Yeah. Because that's where our valuation comes from. Yeah. And we can go in a little bit why that is so important. But so we have a little bit of leverage of when we can pick that cutoff. So it's not, the worst thing you can do is overplay your hand and commit to certain dates and then not be able. But I'm highly confident that we will have a resource out by early Q1 of next year at the latest, and we are targeting at least 60 million ounces.
Interesting. Okay, but are we at that cutoff point yet? Do you reckon, or is there, because there's still this is the thing in my mind.
Then I would be telling you way too much.
Sorry, I'm probing again. Because the thing in my mind is that you're having so many successful hits, especially in the last couple of months as well, and you're extending some really nice veins. It obviously, in my mind, just the more of that you can get into this new resource, the better, right? But I know you.
To be fair, is that we haven't modeled all of the veins. We've been going through one by one, so there's still a little bit of modeling to do based on the current drilling to date. But something else that bodes very well is that we've mobilized a third drill. So while we have two drills that are continuously focused on just getting the density to get the resource calculation, right? We don't want anything not to fall out because we're missing a couple holes. Yep. But the other third drill is now to continue to prospect for the next stage, right? Because I mean, it's pretty simple, right? The original resource was 6 veins. We've had 6 discoveries, right? So we need to now continue to find out where the additional ounces are going to be coming. So we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're getting ready for next year to say we're confident in where that next series of ounces are going to come from. Nice. So, and that I like, because if you look at the biggest silver producers in the world, right? Some of them, they're worth $6 billion, and they produce 10 million silver ounces a year. Right? True silver ounces, and probably 20 million equivalent ounces per year. And they're worth $6 billion. So if you say 100 million ounces over 10 years, that's 10 million ounces per year equivalent. We're 70%, that's 7 million ounces at our valuation. So I'm very excited that we have this strong growth path of not little incremental growth, but big substantial steps of where this company can grow and where can it get to.
Yeah, exactly. And also, without being too forward-looking, you've already done the metallurgy. It's world-class. You know the concentrate is extremely high quality. The amount of material you're going to have to push through a plant eventually is going to be very slim compared to a lot of the mines around the world. I mean,
correct.
The margins on this thing is, in theory, should be spectacular.
Correct. And one of the biggest advantages that most people don't understand, right? When you see a 300 million ounce open pit, first open pit, you lose a lot of ounces because they're not in the pit, right? So we should have a high recovery, a conversion of resource to mineable resource or to reserve, fingers crossed, right? Because you can get it all. That's a part of it. But a big part is you need to have this gigantic open pit running at 30,000 tons per day. I'm making up numbers, et cetera, to be economic, right? When you have high grade, high recovery, and an amazing concentrate that will have a very high payable or can convert directly to doré, I maintain that value through the production stream. That means I'm highly decoupled from scale. And that's a huge advantage in a bull market because that means I can take a sidestep, get into production quickly, right, as I scale, while I'm even continuing to develop the overall size and scale of the project, which is the kind of thing that we're doing in the background, right, which you've seen and been alluded to. That's a part of the vision that we have. Now, it's difficult because our valuation is based on the stage of project. So the concentration is on ounces because that's what our valuation is based upon. When you get into project development, it's based on some ratio to your NPV. Right? And then when you're producing, it's your EBITDA. It gets a lot simpler, but we don't want to confuse market of how to evaluate this company. And it's been, it's not just us. We watch our peers, understanding valuation, where is it coming from, because it helps you understand what's undervalued, what's overvalued, and what's their path for growth.
Yeah, and I think the big, again, you've ticked pretty much every single tick box that you can in terms of the ore body. The big thing is now the scale, and obviously you're now on this pathway. The drilling's been so successful that I'm sure that you will hit that target that you're talking about in Q1. How is it too early? Do you need another year of drilling, do you think, before M&A is on the table for a company like Outcrop? Or are you starting to see some interest even though you are in the exploration phase?
So I don't think many people so far could see a project yet that could be producing 7 million ounces a year. They still think of Outcrop at a very high grade and smaller. You've seen a lot of the graphs where people have all these dots on it, and then all of a sudden Outcrop is kaboom up here, right? So you've seen the graph. But as they see that ball start moving to the right of that axis, then it starts clicking, right? There's probably some more sophisticated people out there that are already looking because they can see, hey, there is a pathway here of having a significant project. But again, buying frenzy doesn't happen based on what I want. It's based on the risk profile that the market has. So they continue to look at mergers and acquisitions are mostly focusing on acquiring producing assets. Okay, but it could be a month, and in a month that I don't care, just give me an inferred resource and I'm taking it, right? I mean, they can change night and day, but it normally, when they go, okay, where are we getting our next production from? And people have a vision of, say, where we're going to get another 7 million ounces in 5 years. When we hit that, then it becomes very interesting. So it's very hard for me to answer that question. I think my answer is when I know what kind of project I have, I believe that easily Outcrop could become a new mid-tier silver company. If we have to do it, we could do it ourselves. Like, I truly believe that because of that decoupling from scale. I don't have to go out and build this gigantic project from the beginning. I can really just scale it up. One of my favorite other companies is Vizsla Silver, because they did that. They took a project and now they're moving it towards production in a very where they understood their valuation, have maintained a strong improvement in their valuation as they transition from resource to development as they move towards production. It's never been perfect, but you can see that pathway of how they're developing value for their shareholders. And so I would like to do the same thing. And it's I've done it before, right? So it's not like I haven't built projects before. So we definitely could do it. but maybe somebody wants it for a whole lot more than us, right? You know,
Yeah,
so
and
you
I
never
think
know
this
when
is
that
the
can happen.
trade-off, right? Because I think there's still a lot more value to unlock at Outcrop. So you wouldn't really want to give it away sort of around these levels anyway.
Yeah, unless you can grow together.
Yeah.
And it's hard, right? Because you would have to say, it would have to be accretive for our shareholders to, you know, and if we're talking, if it's not just cash, but a share component, that if, for example, a big gigantic company, they've all run up, the juniors haven't run up, that would be the worst type of situation, because you're not going to get, but if it's kind of all of us are a pack and we're all going to move together, that seems more attractive, because you can have your cake and eat it too, right? That we're even having this conversation is fun, because these are all things that are going on in the back, but we will do what's in the best interest of Santa Ana and our shareholders.
Usually I wouldn't have this conversation with someone who's got a resource coming out and you're in the exploration phase, but given the high grade nature, given where we are in the silver market at the moment, above $40 and looking pretty strong, looks like it could increase further. I think these sort of questions are now starting to happen, and this frenzy potentially could happen before too long. Why don't we shift back onto the exploration side of things, because this is really the growth, and this is really the big prize, right, in terms of getting up to that 100 million ounce plus resource. So you just mentioned you've got another drill rig coming online now. What's next year looking like? Is this, because you almost, from memory, I think you had a lot of sort of resource drilling one year, and then the next year you did more greenfields, and you sort of switched it. Is next year about going out finding new deposits, or is it about expanding what you already know?
Well, definitely, because we see a pathway we can get there without major obstacles, the number one focus will be just an extension of the existing resource. The only really big question for us in the next, not this resource update, but the following resource update, does it include a PEA?
Yeah.
Right. And
well, I think by then it probably could warrant that.
That's the idea. Yeah. Correct. You have the size and scale that perhaps. So that's the only major question. I'm not committing to it, but it will definitely be what we're going to be thinking about. So you either put out a resource and then do a PEA based on, we're missing like a little bit more drilling, or we've got it, let's go and do the PEA. And, you know, if market continues to be as strong as it is, I think it's important to do that transition sooner than later, right? Because have high margin project in this kind of market would be very valuable.
Yeah, no, agreed. This time next year, where do you think you're going to be?
This time next year, I'll be able to tell you if we're doing that PEA or not. Yeah. But I expect that we are looked at differently, because, you know, it's not a 37 million ounce deposit. It's showing a large jump, seeing where it can get to, and then it's starting to go, whoa, we need to reevaluate. This isn't, you know, I get pushed off. I've seen it from other companies. They go, yeah, but they're small. Yeah. Right? And they don't know what's going on, is that this thing is growing very quickly, right? And it has this very strong pathway, and will be, you know, I believe will be either, you know, creation of a new mid-tier silver company, or be a very strong basis for the creation of one. It's a very solid project, because the one problem that a lot of silver projects have is that they're marginal at lower prices, where we could see this one doesn't matter what happens to silver price. Realistically, this is going to be a strong performing asset that will build. And then the other big one is, we always just talking about the 17-kilometer trend, which is the main area where we're looking at in the short period of time. But we have a lot of applications all around. There's a lot more exploration upside. You know, we believe this will be a true district play. There'll be a generational type producer. There's lots of upside on this project.
Good. Ian, thank you for your time.
You too.